Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Opeyemi here. If you're new here, hi, my name is Opeyemi and you're welcome to Opeyemi's Corner. I just put my hair on my face, okay? And on this channel I share content on medicine, lifestyle, personal development and all that good stuff. So if you want to see more valuable content like the one that you're watching today, please definitely stay. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. So guys, as you can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be discussing a very important topic, which is basically talking about how much doctors in Nigeria earn and why Japa is becoming so popular among doctors in Nigeria. So I'm going to start off by saying that if you haven't seen my video where I explain the different doctor titles and specialty pathway in Nigeria, please check it out. I'm going to have a link somewhere up here or here so that you can really understand when I'm beginning to call out these titles, what they mean, and so that you just basically get the gist. I want you to get the gist quick, even if you're not a medical personnel. Before I continue, quick disclaimer. I tried my best to ask questions around before putting together these figures, and I also put it together based on what I earned as a house officer, what I currently earn as a medical officer, and what I've heard from other people. So it might vary for different states. So if you're in a state where it's maybe lower or higher, please bear with me. I don't have that information. That's why I'm sharing what I have and what I know. But I can assure you that everything that I'm sharing, even if there's going to be variations, it's going to be probably plus or minus 10 to 20,000, to be honest, or who knows, it could be more. All right, so I'm going to start off by talking about the house officers. You guys know house officer is somebody who just finished medical school and is in their first year of practice as a doctor. So typically house officers in Nigeria earn anywhere from 150 to 200,000. Personally, when I did my house job, I earned 171,000 as my take home after tax, ARD deductions, and all the many deductions. But shortly before I finished my house job, it increased to 192,000, and I did my house job in a teaching hospital, Olabisi Obanjo University Teaching Hospital. So I don't know if it's currently more than 192. But that's what it was as of 2020 when I was finishing, even up until 2021. And I've asked around. I know that the highest I've heard people say that they earn is also about 200,000 thereabout. So that's the range for house officer, which is a good amount of money when you're just finishing school, because then, I mean, you're gonna ball with that money. Then for pre-NYSC doctors, which are doctors who are medical officers, they have finished house job, but haven't gone for NYSC. I don't know if there's a standard figure, because most hospitals are always wanting to take doctors as post NYSC. But then again, I know that these days some hospitals are open to taking pre-NYSC doctors, and I've heard some people get jobs for somewhere between 150 to 220,000. It could be less, it could be more, depending again on the state and the hospital. But those are the figures that I have heard of. Now for NYSC, which is the guys, NYSC is the actual ghetto for doctors. So the sure money for NYSC doctors is the 33,000, which the NYSC pays. But for the extra money, which should be paid by the hospital, which could be the private hospital or a state hospital, depending on where the person is working, it could range from 0. Yeah, some places do not pay, to 100,000 naira, or even 120, or even 150, honestly, because people now have their ways of being able to serve wherever they want to, while still doing NYSC. So it could really vary, but I'm talking based on the normal, if you're doing it in the normal place where NYSC posts for PPA. But I know that the common figure I've heard is somewhere between 50 to 70,000. But guys, how much I earned during NYSC, who wants to guess? It was the actual ghetto. It was very low. So for post NYSC medical doctors, they could earn anywhere from 180 to 300,000, depending on the hospital, the state, if it's private or if it's government. I know typically government hospitals, they pay more than most private hospitals. I know for private, the common figure I usually see for ads are usually between 200 and 250,000, but for state teaching hospitals, federal hospitals, it could start from somewhere between 260 and even go as high as 290, depending on where you're working. So that's how much it is for medical officers. Then for junior resident doctors, I know that it could be somewhere between 280 to 300,000, again depending on the hospital, depending on the state, and all of those other factors. But I know that the common figure I've heard of is 280, 295. I know where I did my house job, the startup salary for resident doctors is about 295,000. So yeah, and typically again, this salary, especially for those who work with the government or who work in teaching hospitals, even if it's private, typically salaries increase every year. And I expect that even for private hospitals, salary should increase sometimes every 6 months, in fact. So this could be the starting salary, but typically they increase. Then for senior residents, for this one, right, I had an entire range. So I had as low as 330,000, and I had as high as 450 to even up to 500,000 for state and federal hospitals. So it's hard to really say what exactly is the actual figure, but I would say keep in mind that it's somewhere between 330 to 500, depending on where the person is working. Again, like I keep saying, depending on where the person is working. So for a consultant who is basically like at the top of the food chain in terms of like medicine hierarchy, usually their startup salary, from what I gathered, could be somewhere between 600 to 700,000 for teaching hospitals / federal hospitals. But in private hospitals, best believe that consultants can start off with as high as 1 million naira, 1.5 million. Because I've seen an ad personally for, I think, either 1 million or 1.5 million for a female gynecologist in a private hospital in Lagos. So it varies again for the hospital and all of that. But usually most consultants would choose to get a job in a teaching hospital or a federal hospital because of career progression, and because then again, when you retire, you can get paid pension, you know, although it won't be as high as what you're currently earning, but you still get paid pension when you stop working, when you retire. So a lot of people would rather have those other jobs, again, because of career progression. By doing those jobs, like working in a teaching hospital, they can become lecturers, senior lecturers, alongside being consultants, professors, and all of that. So some of them would rather stay there than do private hospital. But the common thing also is that most consultants combine. They work in teaching hospitals or federal hospitals or state hospitals alongside working in private hospitals. So again, a consultant's salary is very, very flexible because they have options. They can either work in private, some of them even own private hospitals. So these things would cause their salary to vary from month to month. And it's hard to really say, but based on working in government hospitals, it's usually from about 600, 650 to about 700 with increment over the years. So like I've explained, private hospital is another way that most doctors make income alongside working in government or state hospitals. And some doctors who primarily even just work in private hospitals sometimes even combine jobs, work more than one job, and yeah, so that they can be able to earn more money at the end of the month. This money can sound like a lot, especially because we're in a country where a lot of people are out of university and don't have good jobs, and are struggling. So how much doctors earn in Nigeria, to be fair, is way above the minimum wage. But the reality is that these countries that doctors are leaving for are paying more than Nigeria pays, right? And are also now making it quite easier for doctors to move into those countries. So of course, people are going to definitely consider these other options, because even if at the end of the day, when they move to these countries, the money is not exactly so big, right? But it's enough for them to live a better quality of life where they are going to. But yeah, I hope that this kind of like gives you an insight as to why like brain drain is on the rise. And two reasons, like I said. One, because the money, to be honest, is not very commensurate with the amount of work that we have to do. For example, you guys saw my last video where I had to work for 35 hours, and that was not all the work I did that week. I still had to work the other days of the week. And second reason being that it's now like much easier for doctors to go to these countries and to continue to practice as doctors. So these are the reasons why Japa is a thing in Nigeria. So guys, let me know what you guys think. If you're not a doctor basically and you're just hearing for the first time how much doctors in Nigeria earn, let me know, is this what you expected? Were you thinking it was going to be more? Are you surprised to hear these figures? I feel like I don't know what other people my age in Nigeria are earning. So sometimes I feel like, oh, maybe I'm earning a good amount of money, because again, it's higher than minimum wage, but is it commensurate to the amount of work that I'm doing and the kind of life I want to live, you know? But anyways, yeah, so let me know down below what you guys think, and if you guys do see the whole reason why doctors are going, and if you live in a state where these figures do not align with what is obtainable in your state, maybe what is paid in your state is more or is less, please let me know as well in the comment section. I'm sure that people would like to read from you guys. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to share, but yeah, bye guys.